I would say what this band represents is evolution. He had a marimba that he stole from his high school, right? And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like we've already heard that.
Chris from Crazy and the Brains, welcome.
Yo, what's up?
First question. So I learned about you guys. I was dating a woman a few years ago, and she knew that I was a big punk guy. And she said, "You got to listen to this band, Crazy and the Brains. They're like Rancid." And I was like, okay, like I love Rancid. So that works. Saw the leather coat, and I was like, okay, he looks like a young Tim Armstrong. And I did not hear the Rancid comparison. And then over the years, reading articles and stuff, a lot of people say that there's a Rancid influence. So let's start off with the most important question. What am I getting wrong here?
I don't know. We have a lot of influences. So Rance is definitely one of them. I grew up on like that 90s punk. Definitely a big influence, but there's a lot in there. So maybe you're just picking up on some of the other artists that had their imprint on me.
So for those who don't know, elevator pitch, tell us who Crazy and the Brains are.
So Crazy in the Brains is a project that I came up with really as my first effort to try to write my own songs. I was in other punk bands like crusty bands and like street punk bands and every type of punk band you could really come up with I was in. And all those bands didn't last, right? I was like a teenager, like and once all that kind of faded away, I was like, all right, I still love this. This is like who I am. And in those other bands, I was usually like on the side, like maybe a side guitar player or like I played bass for a while, and I was happy doing that. That's really what I wanted to do. But since I was the only one left, I was like, all right, well, I got to write some of my own songs, and I got to sing now. So that was my first attempt. I got an acoustic guitar and I started writing some songs, and I dove into the open mic scene in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and that's where it all began. And then over the years, I collaborated with different people. Early on was my homie at the time who played the xylophone, and that was a big part of the band for many years. And people just kept coming in and out. And now, with the version we are today is I think the coolest version and the most satisfying version of this group that we've ever had, that I've ever been a part of. It's a constant evolutionary process. That's kind of like, I would say, what this band represents is evolution, because I'm always trying to like push myself and create something different than the last time.
How did you start a band with a xylophone player? What happened? What was going on that we're like, we're going to do punk with a xylophone?
Jeff, who played the xylophone, he was a drummer, and he was a drummer in the previous bands I was in. But I didn't really want to do the same thing again. Like he was on drums, I was on guitar, and I was like, this has been done a billion times. Like guitar, drums, like White Stripes, Black Keys. Like everyone was kind of copying that model, right? And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like we've already heard that. What else can we do? Like let's push ourselves. And he was going to college at the time for music, for classical percussion. So he had a marimba that he stole from his high school to practice on. So we had that lying around, and I remember we were just kind of messing with it. Well, I was messing with it, and I was trying to play Chinese Rocks by the Ramones on it. And he was like, "Oh, that kind of sounds cool." And like I said, he was already trying to learn the instrument for his school. And I was like, "Yo, what if?" Or we were like, "What if we throw this instead of you playing drums? What if you played this?" And we were big fans of, and still are. I'm a huge fan of like Bob Dylan and folk music, all types of folk music. So that had its influence. We're like, "Yo, this is cooler. Like this is more interesting." And that's always been from day one something that's important to us. Like not just following along the blueprint that has already been laid down. Like let's try to come up with something that's unique to us. So that's what we did.
How hard was it touring with a xylophone?
Uh, it wasn't hard. What sometimes got in the way was sound sound people being completely confused by it. Like, yo, what
Right.
is this? Like, why do you have this? They didn't know how to mic it, or sometimes it wasn't mic'd. And then, you know, kids in the beginning, like, we're also like skeptical, like for the same reasons. Like, what are you guys? Like,
Right.
it started playing. I mean, I remember specifically playing on the West Coast for the first time, like at Gilman Street. We just showed up there. We didn't have a show booked, but we just like, yo, we're like here, can we play? And they were like, yeah. And we showed up there, and then we had played a party the same night, and like kids were, as we were setting up, kids were like, I don't know about this, like, what is this? But once we started playing, it all came together.
Right.
But I always liked that like challenge. Like we were forced to have to win them over. Um,
2013, you released "Let Me Go." That was the first. That was the first one, and that's great. And it seems like as the band has gone on, as you've created, kind of narrowed in on what you want to do, it just seems like the band is getting better and better. And we've had some lineup changes. I know that our friend Allie from Stop the Presses is joining you guys. They broke that in the
I'm
interview.
the only original person. It started out with just me, and like I said, I had different people coming and going like over these several years. Uh, yeah, Allie's amazing. We linked up. Our band had played a show with her band at some point in time. We were both opening for Vic from the Slackers, and we like kind of met there, but somehow we reconnected over the past year, and it was like one of those scenarios where we jammed once and it was like immediately clicked.
Nice.
So it really wasn't much to think about. It just worked right away, and it's been really
A
cool.
couple of my favorite songs from you guys is "Hell No,"
Right.
"Fiesta," and then your new ones, "Open Eyes," and then "Candy Yams." Those are like my four that are saved in Spotify. They've been there for a while. So, what do you guys have coming up this year? I know we're going out with the Lower Class Brats, Coffin Cats. You guys are going to be doing some shows with them. What else do you have going
We
on?
have another tour coming up in May, and then we're gonna drop. We have new music. We have like 7 new songs that are ready and done. We're probably gonna add to that, either do like 2 EPs or a full album. But we're doing a lot of touring this spring and summer, so you'll be seeing a lot of us.
Will you be coming to Nashville?
I hope so. I
All right.
think so.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll buy you some food when you come to Nashville for a show. So
Uh-huh.
as the original member, very DIY, and I love that. Do you run your social media? You're the 360 man for Crazy in the Brains?
Everything comes down to me. My guitar player Ernest, he's my homie. We grew up together. Well, actually, we didn't really grow up together. He grew up with my little brother, but I've known him for a long time, and he helps out a lot with everything. But for the most part, it's pretty self-made.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, just you doing it all. I mean, how do you not go insane? Because a lot of artists are just starting off and they want to get a manager, they want to get a record label, and they haven't even done anything. And you've had really great success in a genre that it was shrinking for a while, and you've done it all yourself. Like, how do you balance that?
I think it's important to like remind yourself of why you're doing it. Especially like on tour when like so much is happening at once. Like and the game has changed, is continuously changing, like since I first got in it to now. There's so many, you know, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like all these things that weren't necessarily that important when I first started are more important now. So So there, yeah, there is a lot of responsibilities. Again, especially on tour, but having that mindfulness and that taking that time to like step back and be like, okay, why am I doing this? You know,
Hmm.
like and always remind yourself like, yo, it's like it's an amazing opportunity to be able to do something like this. You know, that's how I look at it. I look at it with gratefulness. You know, like because I mean, this is the type of stuff I dreamed about, like opening for the bands that we opened for, and like getting to meet all these people all across the country. And it's like this is what I dreamed about when I was a young kid, like shaving my hair into a mohawk. Like I wanted, like you got to remind yourself, like, yo, this is what you asked for, you know,
Right.
like so.
Who has been the artist that you played with that you were just completely stoked about?
Man, there's been so many. I'm trying to think, like, uh, well, bouncing so I mean it's weird because like I'm like friends with the bouncing souls now, right?
Right.
Like so not even but I never would have thought that was possible. Like but that was a big one definitely in the beginning. Meeting them and playing with them and getting to actually like create a relationship with that's the coolest thing when you like opening for an artist or a band is really cool and you get sometimes you just get that brief like yo what's up like it's great like we got to play with Charles Bradley and it was actually probably one of the last shows before he passed away and like I was a huge fan of him right but I didn't really get to like hang out with him you know um but when you get to like actually hang out like I got to hang out with Joe Biafra like that was great like when you get to with these people like on a real like you know beyond just the surface level that's really fucking cool and probably more valuable to me than like the paycheck to be honest because
Right.
these are my biggest inspirations some of these people I get to hang out with and meet so like to get that connection with them is like that's everything you know.
Interviewing a bunch of East Coast artists these days, and a lot of ska and punk. There's a common theme, is, and it's they've all played with the Slackers, and
Oh yeah.
they're like they all have wonderful things to say about the Bouncing Souls. Which what can you say wrong about those guys? They're some of the nicest guys in the world. Have playing with these guys, and Vic and the Bouncing Souls and Greg and them. Have they taught you anything? Like that you took and you're like, this was priceless. I didn't even think about this. What would you like to share that they told you that, you've ran with and that's made Crazy in the Brains a better band because of that?
I learn something from somebody like every time we go on a tour like I could think of a bunch of examples honestly like well one that immediately comes to mind is Greg from Bouncing Souls. He shared with me of a vocal warm up that he got from Al Barr because I was talking to him about like voice good, you know, and he's like, yeah, man, like every night you go out, you hang out, you talk to people, you know, and you're maybe at a loud party or a loud bar, and like you're talking to fans, and like your voice, you don't realize it, but you're fucking your voice up. Check out this vocal warm up, and it's Al Barr like singing on the track, and I'm like, oh wow, and it's like, dude, do this. Like I'm telling you, you do this every night, your voice will hold up, and it did, and I still have it to this day. So like learning how to like really take care of your voice, you know, was key because I never did any of that shit, you know, like especially in the early days when I would drink and smoke. I don't do that anymore, but like I would I would be going 1,000, you know, and then play the show, and like I would get really pissed off if my voice wasn't holding up. But what else? I mean, like touring with Negative Approach, John Brannon and Harold, they always had like really insightful um things to tell me. I remember like I think I was like getting tripped up on something that doesn't fucking matter. And he was just like he was laying on top of his trailer and he's like, man, chill out. Like you made it. Like look at where we are. We're in, forget where we were. We're in like Texas or something. He's like, look at where we are, man. Like the show is sold out. And I was like, yeah, well, you guys sold it out. And he's like, no, we sold it out. And just like reminding me like to just fucking chill out and enjoy the moment, you know, because everything's moving so fast on tour, and like this lifestyle in general is like a very fast paced life. And these dudes have been at it forever, you know, and like they reminded me to just chill out and enjoy it, you know. What else? I think Matt from the Bronx, he also gave me good advice. He told me to stop eating pizza on the road because it fucks up your voice. uh yeah, man. I like I said, every tour I think I learned something pretty fucking valuable, you know.
What's the coolest place that you've ever played? What, like a city or a country? Like,
Well, I did an acoustic tour solo where I went to Europe and I played in like Croatia, Slovakia, Slovenia, France, Italy. Like all that was cool because that was my first time in Europe. Which I hope to go back there pretty soon with the full band. That was amazing. But honestly, like with the full band, the West Coast is awesome for us. You know, like LA, San Francisco. Like we just played like we just played like 6, 7 shows in the California area with Gogo Bordello, and like it was amazing. You know, like I think we personally as a band, like you brought up Rancid earlier, like obviously they're a big influence, right? Like there's something about the punk over the like the punk scene over there that like they really connect with us and we connect with them. Even though we're an East Coast band, like I don't know, the West Coast connection is very like electric, and so all shows over there are always cool for us.
have you ever played with Rancid? Have you ever opened for them at all?
No, love to though.
All right. Well, Tim, if you're watching, call
Yeah.
Chris. And did you experience any of that as well? Like just setback from when the world shut down for a year and a half?
What? Honestly, like I just rolled with it because it was like, what are you gonna do? Everyone is in the situation, you know. Like, yes, we had tours booked that were pretty cool, and those tours, you know, they didn't get like revisited. You know, they were just kind of lost. And but new tours, you know, once everything started rolling again, new tours that were maybe better were like put in its place, and like
Mhm.
you just had to kind of gracefully accept it and kind of roll with the punches, you know. Like I did a lot of live stream events, which were cool. It was a cool way to connect with people during that time. I even like would go to the park in like the Lower East Side and like play outside just to like do the thing that I love, you know.
Right.
Like yeah, I just rolled with it, you know.
Mhm.
Like that's what you have to do, you know.
How have you not? I mean, I know labels have had to come want to deal with you or want to sign with you. One, why haven't you? And two, do you feel like you have more freedom than those who are signed? We don't.
When the right relationship comes along, you know,
Mhm.
then I'll be open to it, you know. It's so it's not something I'm against.
Right.
It's just about finding the right connection where yes, we I can still maintain the integrity of the vision that I'm you know working on here, and that's really most important, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll work with the label at some point. It's just got to be the right. It's got to be the right relationship. You know, that's how like most of these cool opportunities that I get involved with. Most of them, you know, get initiated just through like a natural organic connection. You know,
Mhm.
it's like business and industry bullshit, and it's more like, yo, do we vibe? Like all the bands that we've opened for and toured with, like I like got to like vibe with and hang out with and meet. It wasn't like emails and like managers and shit. Like I mean,
Right.
there is that afterwards, right? But like Gogo Bordello, like so many people were in my ear, like, "Yo, how did you get this tour? This is amazing." I'm, who do I got to talk to? Like, can you put me in touch with blah 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 manager? I'm like, yo, like, I go to this vegan restaurant that I've been going to for years in the Lower East Side. It's called Organic Grill, and dude there, his name is Vlad. He is really a big supporter of hardcore, New York hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene's also very into New York hardcore. We both were just there at the same time, started hanging out and talking, and that's it. You know what I mean? He was
Right.
like, "Oh, your band's cool. Like, let's go on together." That's people don't believe that shit, but I'm like, yo,
Right.
that's how it happened. Like, and that's usually how, like I said, the cool opportunities that I get to be a part of, like, it all comes down to like an organic connection. So that's what I need from a label.
Mm-hmm. I quote Rev from the Drowns. I interviewed him a few weeks back, and I quote this pretty much with every artist I talk to. Is he's like, I don't even think a lot of the bands who took us on tour thought we were a good band, but that we were a great hang and we were cool to be around. And that's why we got the opportunities. And you talk to so many up and coming artists, and I say this in almost every interview as well, the importance of being a good person. And,
Yeah.
like that will take you so far instead of trying to play rock star or whatever. My next question for you is, how long have you had that coat?
My friend found this coat in the garbage. Probably when I was like 21, 22. And yeah, it's gone through like, oh, it's literally falling apart. But I just can't get rid of it.
I think I see some shrapnel on that, from World War
Yeah,
II. You mentioned
yeah.
that the drinking and smoking. Are you straight edge
I
now?
don't really like claim that title or
Right.
identity. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I decided to put all that behind me because it just wasn't mixing well with me anymore. Like I didn't like the person that I was starting to become, like when I would get fucked up and whatnot. So yeah, I left it behind, and that's just me. Like, not everybody that is in the group, you know,
Mm-hmm.
rolls that way, but it's just my thing.
Well, I asked the
Um,
grade two guys. I said, "What advice would you give for up and comers who are going on their first tour?" And they said, "Don't drink all the beer, even if it's
yeah,
available to you."
it's definitely true. Gil, he's the bass player in Gogo Bordello. He said the same thing to like, bro. He's like, listen, you need to conserve your energy. You can't be out night and they like because some of the people who I play with now like are a bit new to touring. So once we got out there and the shows were so big and so like so wild, like they were going nuts, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And just fully indulging in everything that was offered. And then like a week in, like you're laid out on the floor. And I'm like, yeah, man, like we got like 4 more weeks of this. Like
Right.
yeah, I mean I used to go wild and I can't really imagine doing that now and having the energy to do what I do the way that I do it, because
Mm-hmm.
like I you know, I have to give 1,000% every performance. Like I can't give any less. So
Mm-hmm.
like to be hungover doing that, like bro, I don't know how you do
It puts a lot of miles on your soul to do that night after night.
it. Yeah,
It puts a lot of miles. I do got to commend you because one, I'm a huge fan of your music and I find it
thank
so different, so unique. It's so, for anybody who doesn't know who Crazy in the Brains is, you're going to look at the album cover, watch the interview, see the jacket, and you're going to have an image in your head that this is what it's going to be. And then you're going to listen to it and totally be shocked. And even when you look at your Instagram, you got pictures with kids who are coming to the concert. It's kind of an all ages thing, which is great because you got to help this younger generation not listen to Lizzo and pretty much everybody who won a Grammy. A Crazy in the Brain show. What can people expect when they come to see you? Because the one thing you have done, You don't seem to do a lot of one-offs. Like you're always doing a tour with somebody where you're kind of opening, which kind of takes a lot of pressure off of you to try to book and try to sell tickets and hustle people for 15, $20. But if somebody comes to a show, they see that you're coming on tour, they're going to come to your, you're in their town. What can they expect from a show?
Well, it's definitely a very high energy show. Right off the bat, I'll say that. I take a lot of influence from an era of music that seemed to focus on entertainment. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely a goal of mine, to be able to take you away from whatever may be, troubling you or on your mind at that time. Like, right, like let's take you away from that, and let's bring you to a place of just pure entertainment, kind of like you're going to the movies or something like that. That's number one, because those are the shows that I wanted to see as a kid, and I got to see in some bands. But then you got other bands who just kind of show up and like stand there, and just their whole purpose is just their purpose is to get their photo taken and to look cool, and you know what I mean? And like
Right.
I'm that's all well and good, but like I want to be entertained, So there's that, and I would say secondly, just pure honesty, like cause again, like as a fan of music, what I've always looked for is something authentic and something like an original perspective, um, as opposed to just a song and dance, and just some nonsense that is like unrelatable or just uh like a copy of something that has already been done before. Like it's important to me, and it's important for me to be 100% authentic, because if I'm not, then I feel like I'm cheating the people that paid to see me, but I'm also cheating myself, because I need this. This is also, for as much as it is for the people that show up to the show, it's also for me, because this is my way to communicate. This is really my first language. I'm not really the best at articulating myself in a conversation, but in a song and in a performance, that's where I can get my point across the best.
Right.
So I would say energy and authenticity and pure raw emotion are always going to be the top priority when it comes to one of our live shows, and anything we do. Music video, album, single, whatever. Like all those boxes need to be checked, and if they're not, then it's scrapped and we start it over.
When do you have a new album coming out? When are we slated for a new album?
I mean, I don't know yet. Like we have the songs done, so potentially I could drop it tomorrow. But we're trying to like see if we want to add more songs to it. See how we want to put it out. Like we've talked to a few different labels here and there. So soon, definitely very soon. Probably before the new album, we're gonna drop some remixes of some like older, more recent, old but not too old. Like in the past like year or two, some singles we dropped. We're gonna do remixes of those. So we're gonna have actually a new music video out for that song "Open Eyes," probably like next week.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of new music and a lot of new art is coming. So yeah, if you're into us, you'll be excited.
How can they get in contact with you?
I run the Instagram page, so you can always DM me on Instagram. It's just at Crazy in the Brains. I run the Facebook, although nobody really uses Facebook that much anymore, but I'm on there too. What else? Bandcamp. We're everywhere. We're very easy. I think if you search our name on the internet, we're the only.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of competition.
No, yeah, good.
Well, Chris, I want to thank you, and I'd love to bring you back on down the road, catch up with you. We will see you. We will see you in Nashville, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.